This is why you should always listen when your parents tell you to stay out of a certain room. Story time. This story was submitted by Maria. I went ahead and tagged her down below. This story took place in Jordan when Maria was a child. Her mom, her brothers, and relatives were visiting her grandparents' house. Quick little side note, Maria's grandparents' house was built over a cemetery back in the 1800s. At about 8 p.m., the adults decided to leave the house and go visit a family friend while the kids stayed behind. At first, everything was perfectly fine. The kids were playing board games, doing anything to stay occupied since the internet was down. That was until one of the older cousins had the bright idea of putting a cell phone into the second living room. This home had 2 separate living rooms. Now, this second living room was known for having a lot of paranormal activity, so it was forbidden for the children to enter that room. Their plan was to set the phone in the room, leaving it recording a video to see what they could see. This is when things took a really wrong turn. About 6 minutes after they placed the phone in the room, they started to hear knocking and what sounded like groaning noises. One of the older kids told the younger kids to run into the kitchen and to start to pray the Quran. They played the TV on loud and started to repeat verses from the Quran over and over again, when out of nowhere the TV completely shuts off and they hear a loud gasp. At this point, Maria loses it. Mind you, she's 9 years old and she starts to do what she knows best, and that is to cry. Maria then convinces the rest of the kids to go into her grandmother's room and hide in there. So all of the kids agree and they run. They shut the door and they sit in there and pray. About 15 minutes later, they start to hear loud thuds and footsteps coming from the hallway. This went on for what felt like forever. At about 3 a.m., the adults made it home. When they got home, they started to question the kids as to why all of the lights in the house were completely off. And why was the bathroom door wide open? The kids were completely confused because no one had turned off any of the lights and no one had touched the bathroom door. Now that the adults were home, the kids felt brave enough to go into that second living room and grab the phone to see what they recorded. When they decide to watch the video, they speed it up and they can clearly see a man slowly making his way towards the phone, and then a woman coming out of the corner looking completely beaten up, groaning in pain and walking towards the phone as well. They realized that this was the groaning sound that they were hearing, and then the man walking like slowly like that was the thud that they also kept hearing. When they showed the video to the adults, they were completely terrified. It has now been 7 years since this took place, and no one till this day will dare speak of that day.
28 girls were hospitalized after playing with Ouija boards at school. Last month, it was reported that teachers and school officials in Colombia watched in terror as 28 schoolgirls began fainting and suffering from anxiety attacks after playing around with Ouija boards. The entire ordeal is being investigated, and details surrounding the case remain a mystery. What happened to these girls? Was it mass hysteria or something more sinister? Since the late 1800s, Ouija boards, also called spirit boards, have been a fixture in American culture, many turning to talking boards out of curiosity, for fun, or in hopes of connecting with the dead. These boards came straight out of 19th century spiritualism in America, and some view the board as simply a game. But it's not a game, and Ouija boards are far from harmless. Many warn the device can act as a doorway for dark entities to enter into the user's life. Me personally, I steer clear of these boards. I just don't need it in my life. Have you ever had a creepy Ouija board experience? If you want more on all of this, the origins of the Ouija board, and more stories about it, listen to the most recent Avery After Dark podcast episode that just dropped.
I want to know what could feel more sinister than a playground where people are routinely going missing and nobody knows why. So there is a playground in Old Canster where a high number of people have gone missing between the years 1997 and 2003. And I didn't know much about this, but from what I read, between 97 to 2003, there were 11 children total and about 4 adults that were on record. It's one of those stories where it's a small town, there's limited resources, and if nobody can figure out who's taking the kids, then people are just eventually going to leave the city. Not a lot of people come back here to this day, but some do in pursuit of who could be behind this. Just remembering as I made this, it's Friday, so we do have a new episode of Creep Time, the podcast, out and available. So make sure to go click the link in my bio so you can listen on Spotify or Apple. So we got this odd circumstance of like entire classes going missing. So in 2006, a group of investigators ventured to the town, which nobody does. They set up security cameras in the rec center, which captured this unexplained frame of who we suspect to be our culprit.
I asked you all to send me your scariest videos and you did not disappoint. New video on my YouTube channel, terrifying scary stories from you. Check the link in my bio to watch it, and if you want to be featured in part 2, then leave a comment with your scary story on my YouTube video.
Here's some of the scariest unknown creatures caught on camera, part 7. The creature covered in this video was caught on a surveillance camera on May 21st, 2022 outside the Amarillo Zoo. At around 1:26 a.m., the surveillance camera, which is motion activated, notified the zoo officials that movement was detected. Attached to the notification was an image. Unfortunately, the camera in question only takes snapshots when activated, so no video footage was captured of the creature. However, this image was enough to get the attention of the city officials, who posted the image on their official Twitter account asking for the public's opinion on what it could be. They listed a few ideas themselves, stating it could be a strange person in a hat or the infamous chupacabra. Many gave their thoughts, but none were ever confirmed. Luckily, no animals or people were injured and no signs of a disturbance was found within the zoo walls. But the question still remains. Who or what was captured that morning?
What I'm about to show you is the most disturbing thing ever recorded.
Okay, so while filming The Exorcist, Linda Blair, the main character, was rigged to a mechanical bed that shook her so violently, she ended up fracturing her spine. The most disturbing part was the final scene used in the film was actually her screaming in pain.
So I'm actually supposed to be getting ready for work, and here I am in my basement making a video because I heard some noises coming from down here, and it always happens when I'm home alone. So my mom is extremely sensitive just like me, and she mentioned how she felt like there was a male spirit hiding in my basement. So here we are. We're gonna try the AI filter, and I'm gonna see if I can find him. Again, I feel like there's a presence here already. I don't care to communicate, but I'm gonna see if I can pick him up in the AI filter. I have since nicely asked them to leave, so let's see if we pick anything up again. All gone. So moral of the story, if you feel something, just ask them to leave. 9 times out of 10, they'll listen.
Scariest places, part 49. This innocent looking home is actually the most haunted house in Sweden, located in the most haunted town in Sweden. The town is Borgvattnet, Sweden, known for its hauntings. The house was built in 1876 and its first reported haunting was in 1927, when the priest that was staying there at the time reported seeing a ghost. Not more than a week after, another priest who was staying there reported seeing a phantom white lady running through the halls. Over the years, the home has switched owners, but the hauntings haven't stopped. Some people have reported hearing screaming and running through the halls. Others have reported seeing that phantom white lady. It's a bed and breakfast that you can stay in yourself, and guests have reported that a ghost will pull your blankets right off of you. The creepiest thing that people have reported is probably this guy. They've reported seeing the ghost of the priest who first reported the paranormal activity in the house. That's terrifying. That's why this is one of...
Let me tell you about the most deadly highway in American history. So Interstate 95, it's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is believed to be the most dangerous highway in the world. If you look at the normal US stats, it's believed that there's one fatality every 100 million miles traveled, right? In this one stretch of interstate that's 1 mile long, there have been 24 fatalities in the past year. That's insane. So think about 100 million miles, there's one. Compared to in this one stretch, there's been 24 in the past decade. So a lot of people think that this place is cursed, and a lot of people go and like pray over it to try to get the bad energy out, and it's actually terrifying. If you look at the statistics, it's mind-blowing.
Scary Places in the Netherlands Part 16. The Montalban Tower in Amsterdam is being haunted by a ghost family. The tower was originally built in the 16th century to protect the residents during an attack. One day, Amsterdam was under attack, and one family was running for their lives toward the tower to find safety. As the tower got closer and closer, they became more hopeful. But before they could reach the tower, they were brutally murdered by the enemy. Because of the gruesome way they died, their souls could never find peace. And it is said that they return on the 2nd of June every year to haunt the tower, hoping for safety from an attack that will never come.
You need the Avery After Dark podcast, your new favorite source for all things spooky, mysterious, and chilling. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else you listen. New episodes drop every Thursday. Prepare for goosebumps.
We're back with a creepy Zillow listing. Today we're in Illinois, and this is a foreclosure for just under $100K. Also, don't mind this, I left my self-tanner on overnight. Here's the inside. I'm gonna be speechless a lot throughout this entire video. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. The outlines of the picture frames. I don't know. I don't like the stains and the random wood. I chop wood in my house too, that's completely normal. Okay, so this is the set of the Blair Witch Project, because she would definitely be hanging out in here. Oh yeah. This is where she dwells. Is that a tombstone?
Talk